Hey guys, we're back at our new construction home build project, and today I'm going to talk about the different phases of new construction, as well as where we are in our project, as well as what we have left to complete. So stay tuned. So the first phase of any project, one starts with your permits and getting all of your quotes and bids lined up in preparation for the project. However, after that, you start clearing your lot. So clearing is basically where you outline any trees that need to be removed and basically preparing that site for your home build. So as you see here, this is a portion of our clear lot. Now, our home build is not in this specific area because this is dedicated to our drain field, but this is ultimately what a cleared lots looks like. Sometimes you have stumps remaining. Some contractors will add in an additional cost if you want those stumps removed. And then some of them just knock them out overall. You know, they'll actually tip the whole tree over, which takes the stump and the roots with it. So you don't have a stump. But this is the first phase of a construction project, clearing. All right, so after you cleared your lot, you then work with a surveyor to mark the corners of your foundation wall. And even before then, right, before you can actually install your foundation wall with whatever masonry contractor you decide to use, there's actually a footing underneath there. So what this footing is doing is it's a concrete, basically pour around the perimeter of your foundation wall. And this basically spreads the load or spreads the weight of all of the home or the entire home across that footing. So before you get to your foundation wall or even your framing, there's actually a solid piece of concrete wall that runs it around the entire perimeter underneath your foundation wall. After doing that, and of course you have to get inspections along the way, now you're ready to actually build up your foundation wall. And for many people, this is where your home actually starts to take somewhat of a shape. You can see somewhat of a size. However, many people have said it, including myself, is it's kind of deceptive. So when you first see your foundation wall, you may be thinking like this house is not that big. It doesn't look as big as it is on a piece of paper or what you envision, but this is the first time that you can get somewhat of a glimpse of it. After getting your foundation done and getting that inspected, of course, you want to start looking at your framing. Framing is when your home really starts taking shape. And you can see all the layouts of your rooms, you can see how much space you have. To some degree, and you can see how spacious a area feels, even though you really can't tell how big it is until after drywall is hung. It is very deceptive. But overall, framing is when you start seeing the shape of your home. You can walk through it and you start to actually see the structure itself. Another portion of our framing scope is installing our windows and our exterior doors. And this is, of course, because you want to get to what is called the dry in phase. So after your framing is done, they have house wrap, which is on the outside of it. But you also want to get your windows and exterior doors on and your roof. And this drying phase is important because if you have no siding on your home yet, you can still do all of the interior work necessary to continue the project and progression of your project, but you won't have any potential damage to the interior because you've had it dried in. So after your framing is finished, you want to quickly get your roof on. And the reason why you want to get your roof on pretty soon after your framing is finished is that way your electrician, your HVAC contractor, and your plumbers can start working on there. It would be horrible to basically have all of your framing done, you don't have a roof on yet, but your electrician has start running lines in there and then it rains because you still have gaps in between the OSB sheathing on your roof. So after framing, you want to start focusing on your roofing or at least get your underlayment for your roofing on. After your framing is done, the next things that we start working on is our different trades. So your trades are your plumbing, your electrical, and your HVAC. So in this time, they are basically getting all of their trade stuff installed. So as you see here, our electrician has installed the electric panel as well as the meter base that is outside. He's ran his wires to everywhere we need to in the house for outlets, for lights, for switches, or even our tankless water heater, for example. So that is when he does his initial wiring for all of these things. Now, at this point in time, he does not have his outlets on. He doesn't have his switches installed because that comes after drywall and what we call our trim out phase. But in your initial rough in phase, they're just getting the initial lines and plumbing lines and HVAC ducts ran to where they need to be. So again, In this initial phase, they are only focusing on these things. And this is also the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. So even here, you can see our HVAC duct. And this is the duct for our dryer vent. These are the ducts for our vents in the house and even our return grills. And they know where they're going to put the systems when we're done. And these, again, is in that initial phase. Now that we have our trades finished, we then start focusing on our insulation. And as you can see on the walls behind me, the insulation is basically only installed on exterior walls unless we have a client specific request to put them on our interior walls. So in the insulation scope, we put it on the exterior walls, and that is batt insulation. Some people use expanded foam insulation, but we opt to go with batt insulation. We also go ahead and put our insulation under the house, which is the crawl space, in between our floor joists. And then lastly, at the end, when we complete all of our drywall, we then put a blown insulation, which is basically pieces of insulation that is sprayed or shot into the attic area so that that is insulated as well. The next phase after installation is installing your drywall. And as you can see, we've already completed our installation and we already have our drywall staged in the home. So next we're going to be focusing on our drywall, getting that hung and finished. Because it is getting cold outside, that may delay our timeline a little bit longer between those different drywall coats, waiting for them to dry and resanding them. So we have to be very cognizant of that when we project how long it's going to take for drywall to complete. Some of the remaining items that we'll have after drywall is installing our trim, installing our interior doors, getting paint done. And then after that, it's pretty much finishes. We'll be getting our kitchen installed, our granite countertops, or in this case, we're doing quartz. We'll do our flooring. We'll do any touch ups to those things that we've already installed. And then we'll install our tile in our bathrooms. And so all of these are just the finishes. And then once our finishes are done, we then call back our initial our scopes of work, such as the plumbing, the electrical, and the HVAC, to come back and do their final trim out. So again, they did their initial rough in. After we get our finishes in place and we're ready for them to come back, they do their trim out. So this is where we'll have all the lights on. We'll have our HVAC unit running. All of our plumbing will be working. And so after that, we're good to go. So while we're focusing on the inside, there are also a few things that need to be done on the exterior of the home. One of which is the siding. So again, while they're focusing on the inside of the home, we'll be having our siding contractors install our siding, our gutters, our soffit, and our fascia, which are on the top of the gable here. And those things are going to be happening at the same time in parallel. Now, there are also other things such as our water line to the house, getting our water meter installed, getting power or electrical ran to our site, and then also our drain lines. In this home build, we'll be having a septic system. So all of these things have to also be coordinated at the same time to make sure we're not delaying the project, that they flow smoothly, and trades aren't overlapping throughout the build process. I know when I first started getting into home building, I was looking for videos or any kind of literature that would help me out and help me better understand the process. So hopefully this does that for you. So while this may not be a very detailed, in-depth, deep dive overview of what the home building process looks like, hopefully this process, or this video rather, helps somebody else understand what the home building looks like. Thanks for following, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.